You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.
Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of the Career Currency Podcast, the podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. We bring you the best marketers, influencers, brand builders, and entrepreneurs in the game who share advice on how to attract opportunities, make more money, and thrive in the digital economy. I'm your host, Kareem Perez, the marketing mentor from The Tech Effect, and I'm going to be leading you through this conversation today. Okay, today's guest is a highly skilled, award-winning executive leadership coach with 19 years of experience guiding professionals and organizations through transformational change. Her expertise lies in building high-performing teams, fostering inclusive workplace cultures, and driving strategic initiatives to achieve measurable results. Drawing on her background in emotional intelligence and organizational behavior, she designs coaching frameworks that empower leaders to embrace courageous and empathetic leadership. Okay, and she's committed to helping individuals and teams unlock their full potential. And she believes that impactful leadership creates a ripple effect, elevating both people and organizations towards lasting success. So welcome, Kadine Cooper.
Thank you
to the
so
Career
much.
Currency Podcast. Thank you for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
All
Like I
right.
was saying, this is my first time doing an in-person podcast episode. So I'm kind of excited. You got a cool spot here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming through. So yeah, let's start it off, right? Give me the how it started versus how it's going, and kind of give me that little journey in terms of how you went from corporate and then now you're into the coaching space.
So as you said, I have an HR background. So I was in HR for about 19 years, talent management, talent development. And I would say it seems abrupt, the transition, but it wasn't for me because I started my own personal development journey, I would say 10 years before.
Right.
And just came to a place where this wasn't serving me anymore, where I was in corporate. It became too transactional.
Okay.
And I'm someone that's very invested. Like I always believed in people first, people,
Right.
then professional. And when the two didn't align, I was like, it just didn't feel good anymore. So when I quit corporate, to the outside, it looked like abrupt, even though I didn't really have a backup plan. Like I didn't plan on being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
It is something that I was kind of encouraged to do. I knew I wanted to get into coaching full time, but I thought I would work for a consulting firm. Like I never planned to do my own thing because
Right.
growing up, West Indian parents, you're told go to school, get a good education, climb the corporate ladder, and that's what success
Yeah,
was,
for real.
right?
So what's
But
your background?
Jamaican.
Okay. Born?
No,
Okay.
I'm a Jamaican.
yeah.
No, I'm a Jamaican to the bone though. Like
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
It's in my blood. But yeah, so, and also, growing up, always wanting to just strive for that promotion of what success looked like, in the corporate space. And then came to a point where I was like, this isn't serving me. This didn't feel good. I was the person injecting talent into an organization, and you get asked often, like, what do you like about working for X, Y, and Z? And when I had to be like, what are the 7 key behaviors? I was like, no, this is doing the company and myself a disservice. So I was just like, I'm going to take some time to step back and figure out what my next move is. And then I met an amazing coach, and he was like, go out there and do this yourself. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, go help people. Start your own practice. And I'm like, people do that? So if it hadn't been for him, and not to say that I didn't get cold feet
Okay.
in the early stages and kind of reverted back to what I knew. And he was like, girl, if you invest in yourself, if you go all in on this, he goes, I guarantee you cannot fail. So where I'm at now, 5 years in, is loving everything that I'm doing and being able to pour back into the community for number one, women, because that's my jam. I want to see women win. Because for me, I was that person that was head down in my cubicle, you got a mortgage, you got kids, that's all I'm thinking about, and climbing up in that. And then finally, I was just like, this isn't it. Right. So I want to help women to do the same, not to get stuck in that cubicle, but to really identify what is it that you truly want. Because what you want, you can have. You just need the tools, resources, guidance to get there. But if you don't even know what you want and you're just stuck like me, stuck in that cubicle, in that space, it's just like a vicious cycle of unhappiness, of unfulfillment. And I just came to a point where I was like, this can't be it. This cannot be it.
Right. So talk about the actual corporate experience. So when you started off to how
Okay.
you grew within the corporate space and like some of the challenges or some of the things that you're proud of that you've done in that space.
So I started my professional career, I guess you could say, in market research. And I was in market
Okay.
research for like 10 years. And it was due to downsizing and restructuring. This is what I thanked them for. It was Nielsen Media Research. And I knew a year in advance that I was going to be out of a job. So I went through career coaching and kind of liked the vibe of that person helping me with my resume, my LinkedIn profile, my job search, my networking strategy. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And always admired corporate HR professionals, the ones that I had experience with, and always wanted to kind of do events with them, like volunteer for whatever they were doing. I just thought their role was really cool.
Yeah.
And a year after leaving that organization, I had to go back to school, obviously, for HR. So I went back to school,
Right.
and then I got a generalist position. So I started my professional career in HR as a generalist, doing payroll, budgeting, hiring, benefits, all that stuff. And then I left there and got sucked into recruitment. So I was working for a couple agencies, worked for a couple banks, worked for media, and then CPG and pharma. So kind of hopped around a little bit. But I think everything, like every organization and industry that I worked with, is what makes me a better coach, because I've got such a breadth of experience dealing
Right.
with multiple functions. And I used to say, until the pandemic, except for healthcare. And then with the pandemic, I got kind of opportunities in healthcare as well. So it started with, market research, and then dibble and dabble in a couple different things, agency, contract, temporary work. And then the last corporate role was senior talent leader, and then left there and started my own practice.
Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about when you made that switch. So you say you left with no plan.
Zero plan. Like, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I had set myself up. I'm like, I'll be good for about 3 months
Right.
to take my time and figure things out. But I met a coach who gifted me with some coaching, and he was the one that really encouraged me and guided me along the path. Didn't help me with the business side of it.
Right.
So I had to kind of figure that kind of out on my own.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of reading, listening to a lot of podcasts, and finding mentorship in other places. But he really helped me to own my strengths and my gifts. And no one had really invested in me that way, like spent the time. And that's one of the things that I love about coaching.
Right.
And then obviously I went and got my certification in coaching as well, because I wanted to have different modalities and tools that I could use to help people get their breakthrough the same way that I received my breakthrough. So if it hadn't been for him, I probably would be right back in corporate. Because I'll never forget, I remember, I think about 2-3 months in, after I had quit,
Right.
and working with him, and he was in Texas, and I was like, I called him up and I'm like, you know what? Because I'd gotten an opportunity, because I slowly started putting out my feelers, because I was like, what did I just do? I just quit my job. Right? So after a while, I was like freaking out. And then I called him, and I'm like, I got an opportunity. I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to do this coaching thing on the side. And he listened to me for a while, and I don't know if I can cuss on here, but he goes, I'm going to call BS.
Right.
He's like, you can do it. As your coach, I can't tell you what to do. He goes, but I guarantee 2-3 months, you'll be unfulfilled and feeling stuck and unhappy again. He goes, but think about it. I can't tell you, you've got a family to support. So I thought about it for like 24 minutes, I think, honestly, Kareem. And I was just like, he's right. If I go back to doing that, I'm going to be right back here again.
Yeah, that's deep. I'm sure that happens to a lot of people too.
I see it all the time. And it's fear, right? It's fear of the unknown. And then I'm not saying I wouldn't accept a couple opportunities, because I did contract temporary roles as I was building my practice. I accepted a position with ESPN through a consulting firm. And I'm like, ooh, ESPN, this sounds sexy.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks into the role, I was
Same
just like,
vibe.
I was like, I'm too much in the weeds here. I just wanted to be on the outskirts, helping you find your people. But it became too much. And that's when I realized as well, not because you can do something means that you should do it.
Right.
Not because that's what I was known for and what I had been doing for 20-something years means that I should continue down that path. But I think I had to experience that to know that it truly was my time there, and that experience and role and opportunity was done. And that this was another chapter and phase that I was stepping into. Unknown territories, but I'm still here.
Like, was it challenging for you to make that announcement and make that move? Like, what was going through your head?
Judgment, like, who do I think that I am to start a business? I don't have a business background. And the same coach, I remember we were having a meeting and he was sitting across the table from me and he says, what does your LinkedIn profile say? And I'm like, it says that I work for X, Y, and Z. And he's like, he slid my phone over to me. He goes, change it. And I was like, what do you mean change it? Because typically, we don't change our profile until we land somewhere else. And he's like, how are people going to know that you're available and that you can help them? He goes, you got to change your profile. And I was just like, what? He goes, that's the first step. And I did it. And I haven't looked back. Scary, yes, but I did it.
Okay, so you talked about fear, right?
Yeah.
Something that everybody goes through, especially when trying new things or challenging new things. So let's talk about mindset, right? So what do you do in terms of like when you have a client that has that fear? What's the kind of science or the coaching philosophy behind their mindset, and what's really holding us back in those moments?
So I think it's many things. So the first thing that I always ask and lead into their values, their foundation, because your values should be your foundation. That anchors you, right? So what's really important to you? And I'll tell you, like, success to me in corporate is completely different than what success looks like for me now. So back then it was climbing the corporate ladder. Now it's my 5 F's: faith, family, fun, freedom, and flexibility. So I help them to find their anchor. So now if you're saying yes to something, you got to hone in and lean into those values,
right,
to say, is this a yes for me? Because it should be a strong yes. And if it's a no, then there's no FOMO. There's no fear of missing out on anything. So it's really about helping them to anchor into what is their foundation, what really lights them up. And what do you want? Not mom, dad, sister, cousin, partner, but what do you want? And removing that fear. So if money, time, nothing was a challenge or an obstacle, what would you want? And once they can say that and articulate that, this is what I would want, then I'm like, okay, now we can come up with a unique blueprint or framework to support you to get there. It's not going to happen overnight, but at least knowing that you're on the trajectory to get there starts to feel fulfilling to you because you know you're doing something about it. And that's honestly what it was for me. When I realized that where I wasn't supporting my career goals and trajectory, I'm like, I'm wasting my time here. And I'm like, I don't have time to waste. And so it's really about knowing that they can be supported to do it. And I was supported in my transition.
Right.
So it's actually going alongside them, being that mirror and seeing in them what they possibly don't see in themselves. And then being that champion and that cheerleader to be like, okay, you can do this. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to get certified or take a course or just be more strategic with your job search and your networking, but you can do it.
Do you find that a lot of people try to do that on their own?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's a fear of investing in ourselves. I don't know if it's, I find that Americans tend to invest more in themselves freely. And I think as Canadians, I don't know if we're so conservative or if it's shame or embarrassment, but if you eat that humble pie, and that's the same thing the coach said to me. He goes, if you invest in yourself, he goes, I guarantee you that you can't fail. And that's what I've had to do in order to get to different levels on this entrepreneurship journey. So I think really it's just fear of failure is the biggest thing. Fear, just shame. Like, what if I do this and it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
And I think I still have that sometimes. Like, what if I do this and show up and it doesn't work out? But I feel like I'm so much into it now that I'm like, I'm just trying different things and hoping it sticks. And being transparent and being my authentic self is all I can be. And helping others to do the same.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's talk about the corporate ladder a little bit, right? Not from your perspective, but you're helping a lot of clients get into their space and helping women define success on their own terms. So can you talk about that, like being a woman in the corporate space and the type of experiences you've been through and how you use that to encourage others? And what are some of the things you unlock for people?
The power and the strength that they have within themselves. You know, like I have a client right now that I'm working with who funny story is when she sought me out as her coach, she's like, I want to be like you. You're so confident. And I'm like, you don't want to be like me. I'm like, you don't know what the work I had to go through to get here. I'm like, but I would love to help you become the bold and audacious version of yourself. So working with her on her confidence, it's mindset too, right? So affirmations, mantras. I have this moment mantra that I help my clients come up with and create, especially when they're really struggling. So it's something that you say to yourself every day, or at least have it stick on sticky notes around you So that kind of changes your perspective and your mindset of yourself as well too. So visualization as well. Who do you want to be? Who are you becoming? Who are you now is not who you're becoming.
Right.
So what does she look like? What does she sound like? What does she talk like? What is she wearing? Who is she surrounding herself with? So getting them to kind of picture themselves and put themselves in spaces where they want to see themselves. I even invite my clients to networking events. So when I'm going to certain events that I think they need to be in this room, I invite them, come in this room with me and see and observe how I kind of work the room, but also who do you want to talk to and why do you want to talk to them, right? So it's really about getting them to come out of their comfort zone and try and explore different things. And when they do that, typically it's like, that wasn't so bad.
Right.
It wasn't so bad. And I'm like, see? And now you can go and do this on your own. Because how badly do you want it?
Yeah, so how badly do you want it? But do you find like a lot of people even know what they want?
No. So through some assessments, some reflection exercises, I think, no, I shouldn't say that. I think deep down inside, we all know what we truly want, right?
Right.
But it's taking that moment to pause and to step back to unpack and unlock what that is and not getting caught up in society, norms, and whatever. So if you think back to when you were a child, what did you get lost in doing? For me, and even to this day, I'm doing reflection and I'm like, that's why I love quotes. Maya Angelou is one of my favorite quotes. So every presentation or facilitation that I do usually has a couple quotes floating. And I'm like, back in the day, I remember sitting on the bus, going to school, writing my own quotes or just like coming up with quotes from other people's posts and reading. And so I was like, that's what I use now to kind of attract people or just to motivate and inspire them. So it's finding, what did you do back then? Did you like to write?
Right.
Did you like to play music, drums, guitar, whatever? What lit you up then as a child that maybe as an adult now you stopped doing? Because life, you're an adult, you don't have time for that. Go back to those things and see, does it still light you up? Did you like to paint? Well, then go to the dollar store and buy a paint set. Do you like to draw? Buy a sketch pad. Start sketching. And it doesn't have to be something that maybe you're going to do full time, but just even the fact that you're initiating that interest again, it kind of stirs something up in you. And you'd be surprised how that can also unlock certain things and confidence in your abilities. So,
yeah, I think it goes back to expression, right? Being able to express yourself. And like what you were saying is, or what I heard from what you're saying is a lot of people kind of suppress their true wants of what they want for whatever reason, family, friends, career path. And we really got to get back to unlocking that.
100%. And I think this generation, Kareem, like this younger generation, we can learn so much from them because they're like kind of no nonsense. They're like, this is what they want and they're going for it.
Right.
So I love and admire their drive and passion and sometimes use them as examples because I'm like, look at this person, half our age, doing exactly what they want and not taking no for an answer. So using that as an example to kind of help to fuel, because I usually work with mid to C-suite level clients. So they're in their careers and have been in their careers for years. And it's harder, I find, to kind of break that kind of mold. But I use the younger generation as examples. I'm like, if they can do it, you can do it.
Right.
You've got how many years of experience? You can do this.
How do you feel about the educational path?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think it's important? Education, formal education?
I do.
Okay.
I really do. You know why? Because that, again, is another foundation or base. So I'll give you an example. I'm a boy mom. I've got 3 boys. They're 26, 18, and 15. And my 18-year-old just started university. And he was like, he wants to get in the trades. He wants to do this. And I'm like, that's cool. But what if you take me as an example and don't have to work for anybody ever? And you can start your own business in the trades, be your own boss.
Right.
But if you don't have that foundation, that business knowledge, how do you write invoices? If you don't know how to kind of market yourself, if you don't know how to make business development, just make business decisions on a whole, you're lost. Like, I don't have a business background. I had to learn all of that in these last 5 years, hire business coaches to teach me. You're still young. You have the opportunity to do that now and then set yourself up for success in the future.
Okay, yeah.
It also just opens more doors for you, right? More opportunities versus someone who, and I'm not saying because there have been some successful entrepreneurs with just like a high school education.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I find like it's far and few between. And the way the world is right now with technology and all that, the world's an oyster. But the foundation, I think, is still important. And education is key.
That's really good. And okay, so now within the corporate space, right? Showing up authentically. And, you know, sometimes we got to navigate when you're in the rooms or you're at your job. Yeah, you got to code switch. You got to pull back. You can't really say certain things. So can you talk about that from your experience, or how do we, you know, how does somebody speak up in a meeting where they feel like they're not being heard, or challenge their boss when they think not necessarily jobs on the line, but, you know, I'm trying to disrupt the space, but I still got to kind of color between the lines in a way.
And that's something that I experienced a lot when I was in corporate. So there's no right or wrong.
Right.
You know, every culture is different. But find your ally internally, someone that can kind of back you up and vouch for you, or a mentor, either internally or externally. But I think if you have somebody that you can kind of bounce ideas off of, or someone that can kind of lean into and support the trajectory that you have, or even when you're voicing your opinion, because sometimes we get in our feelings, right?
True.
If you have someone that can kind of check you, you know, and be like, actually, you know what, not the right time, or maybe you should consider it this way, just to give you a different perspective, that I think is something that helps. And recently I did a workshop for some young Black professionals during Black History Month, because of the whole code switching and the dynamics of, you know, the baby boomers and them being young Gen Zs and Gen Xs and working in a corporate space for the first time. And there was a lot of clash and a lot of, you know, lack of trust, as well as whether or not they can really handle the work and do the work. And I'm like, well, you hired them. So clearly there's something that you saw in them, but now that they're here, maybe there's some training that needs to be done to equip them to be successful. So to go back to your question, I think it's really about having that internal voice within yourself, but also like knowing your strength and your worth, but also having someone else to support you with that as well. Because it's lonely when you're trying to climb that corporate ladder and you don't have that internal support. It takes you that much longer. But it also is discouraging as well, too, because if you don't see that there's someone there for you, then you'll be like me in your box and you're trying.
Do you have a mentor?
I do. I have many.
You have many?
Many mentors and coaches, because coaches can take you to a certain point. Mentors can take you to a certain point. And then sometimes you outgrow them. So it's important to have, like, I have a business coach, I have a mindset coach, I have a personal development coach, different reasons for different stages that I can call on for different things. They have different levels of skill sets and strengths. So it's important to have whatever you need at your area of growth to support those growth areas, because it's not one size fits all.
Right.
I personally haven't found a coach yet that can meet all those needs. So, or a mentor. So I kind of seek out different ones.
And do you mentor?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Formally or informally, or
both?
Okay.
Yeah, both. I think it's important. I really think it's important. I didn't have that growing up, so I think that's the other reason why I'm very passionate about it as well, because since investing in myself and coaching a mentor, I feel like I'm leaps and bounds ahead in my career and my life.
Right.
And that's what I want for young people as well, is to have that support from earlier on in your career versus later. But I mentor at least 2 to 3 individuals for a year. And sometimes it's with an organization. Sometimes it's just on my own. People will just reach out to me to ask me to be their mentor. So that's the other thing that I would say too, is sometimes we're afraid to ask people, but closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask for what you want, you're not going to get it.
Right.
So that's the other thing that I share with these young people. I'm like, if you can't afford a coach, someone that you admire out there, ask them. Ask them if they're willing to be your mentor. But don't take offense if they can't, because it's a capacity thing and a commitment thing, right? So, but if you ask, you may get the opportunity to have somebody to mentor you throughout your career journey, or at least for a portion of it, right? So,
cool. Stories. Can you tell us some stories? Client breakthroughs.
Sure. One client comes to mind because I'm known as Career Coach K, and now kind of switching around to just being Coach K. A client will come to me, one particular that I'm thinking about, and it was for a career, but I ask a couple questions, and it's like waterfalls. And so for me, it's really about using a holistic approach, because it's like, what are those tears? What is that emotion that's there? And if you don't unpack certain things, you can't get the breakthrough that you need. So for this particular client, we're working on her resume, working on her LinkedIn profile, job search strategy, mock interviews, couple questions in, I think it was 2 or 3 sessions in, I was asking her, about her, how's your daughter? How's your husband? And it came that she didn't have any hobbies. She was just mom, wife, that was it. Husband had started his entrepreneurship journey. She didn't have anything that was meaningful and fulfilling to her. So as a result of, we're looking for this new job and opportunity, but she was feeling broken and unfulfilled inside. So I'm like, what would you like to do? How about we start trying some things? So she picked up rowing. Okay. She's now a part-time professor at Humber.
Nice.
So the job search is still there because she's still kind of somewhat unhappy in her career or her role, but now she's got other things that are fulfilling to her. So that's just one client. There's another client that I honestly felt intimidated to coach because she's a strong, confident Black woman. And she's like, you're my coach. And I'm like, really? I'm your coach? But that, what it looks like, what it feels like, and what it is are 2 different things or 3 different things.
What it looks like,
what it feels like, and what it is.
Okay, yeah.
So on the outside perception, I was seeing this strong, confident, because I admire people, right. But what she didn't feel that confident. And so it was mentoring and coaching and building her up to see her worth, having her do certain exercises and reflective. Look at all the amazing, accolades, educated, but not recognizing the worth of all of the work that she'd put in to get to where she was. And then also being in the corporate space that didn't value her.
Right, yeah.
Right? So even that, as a result of us working together for 6 months, she's now in a senior leadership role in another organization. So she had to leave there in order to step into the role that truly suited her. But we had to do a lot of embodiment work as well, because she had to own that, right? Because she didn't. I thought, I'm like, I could see it, but until you see it, it means nothing. Right?
Yeah, that's true. And that's what you said earlier about the kind of mirror effect of having somebody else
that
give
can
you that
see
perspective.
Your greatness.
You find like people get comfortable and just stay
complacent,
complacent in their
that was me.
different roles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's safe. Some people don't like to rock the boat, and I think I was one of them. But thankfully, something inside of me stirred up more so than that comfort. The comfort was good for a while, but then after a while, it was like, something's missing here. I feel like I'm meant to do more or make more of an impact. And also being told, oh, Kadine, you're too much for the employees and not so much for the business. And I was like, if we don't take care of our people, we don't have a business. HR, right? And being told that as an HR professional, I used to have people all over my desk, just connecting with me. And when we were doing pulse checks and things in the office, they'd be like, oh, send Kadine. Kadine knows everybody. And I'm like, guys, we're all in HR. We call ourselves people in culture, but yet you all don't want to go and speak to the employees? I'm like, there's a huge disconnect there.
So what would you say to somebody that they're not necessarily at their wits' end with their position, but they're, they're comfortable, they feel like they're doing good.
Right.
What would you say to them in terms of keep your eyes open or think of other things, or don't get, how would you encourage them not to get too comfortable?
So that's a great question. And the last corporate role that I was in, I was speaking to someone that I hired in that company just this week, yesterday actually.
Okay.
And just talking to him, he's been promoted 2 or 3 positions since I left the organization. And, I'm checking in, how are things going? And he was feeling a little bit complacent. And he's like, what do you think that I should do? And I'm like, well, network internally and externally. Don't get too comfortable there, because we're all replaceable with certain organizations, right? So I just told them straight, don't get too comfortable. Continue learning and educating yourself. What is it that you really want to do, and kind of lean more into that, but let them know as well. But never stop networking. Your network is your net worth. And at some point, I may not need this person right now in my network, but keep nurturing them, because you never know when you might need them. So I told them straight, I'm like, go and get certification in X, if that's what you want to do, and leverage the corporate, because there's an education reimbursement package that they have. So I'm like, leverage them to support you with those goals. But if you find that it's not being supported there, then you have a decision to make. Do you stay or do you leave? And I mean, that company pays very well. So, but for me personally, it was like them or me. And I was just like, I got to choose me, and I think if you choose you, then it's your integrity, it's morals, it's all of those things that you have to kind of sometimes step outside of what is corporate right now and how it's fulfilling one part of your life or your being and not the other. So one of the things I said to him is do some reflection. So we're going to continue the conversation, but I'm like, do some reflection. Are you happy where you are right now? What makes you happy and fulfilled in that company or that role? And he talked about, he's getting, his wife is expecting in the summer, so leaving security. And I'm like, I did it. And I would never tell anyone to quit their job. I honestly coach the opposite. I'm always like, let's connect to figure out what that right path could be for you. But the fact that he's even thinking about it tells me that there's a spark or something in there where he's like, this isn't it for me.
Right.
Right. So it's just really just listening and being in tune with yourself. When you feel that sense of, man, I don't want to go to work today, or just that disengagement, those are clues. Like your body, your mind sends us clues, but we ignore them.
Yeah.
Or we choose to brush them aside because I've got mortgage, I've got kids, I've got responsibilities. And again, not making a rash decision like me, but take the time to really recognize that. Why am I feeling this way going to work? I don't even like these people. Why am I here? Or I love what I'm doing. This is amazing. Like I can tell you right now, I get up every day and I'm excited. I don't know what the day is going to hold, what the client's going to bring, but I'm excited. And I've never felt, well, I shouldn't say never. There were some days when I felt that way, but there were far and few between as I was kind of making my transition to exit. So now I don't have that. And this is the feeling that I want for everybody because it's possible to do that. You can work for a corporate company. There are amazing companies out there that treat their employees well. But if where you are isn't that place, then there's another place out there for you to consider exploring. Right?
Yeah, I think too, like what comes to mind is even if you might be comfortable in your job or your position and leaving is an option, but also, like you said, closed mouths don't get fed. So maybe it's expressing to them,
Exactly.
I want to change, I want to grow, I want to go into a different department or a different role.
Shadow other people in the company. And that's the other thing too that's important. If you can speak up to what you want, but know what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Take the time to
Self-reflection,
build your case. Yeah, self-reflect and figure out what would I like it to look like? What would I love?
Okay, let's talk about quiet quitting, career disengagement. So, again, sometimes you're just burnt out and you're just stressed, and sometimes it's like I need to change careers or I need a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's still happening quite a bit. I think with a lot of people kind of having to be convinced to go back, I don't want to say forced, but convinced to go back into the office, 2 or 3 days a week, whereas our lives are forever changed. Like for some people, they either relocated further outside of the city because now I'm working remote, or stopped daycare for their kids. So I think there's, if again, the morals and the values are not aligned, like it's not conducive to your lifestyle, I feel like a lot of people are just kind of doing the bare minimum. And that's what the quiet quitting is. I'm just doing the bare minimum. I'm just trying to get by. I just don't want to rock the boat. So that's what that kind of looks like. There's a bit of disengagement. I'm just here from 9 to 5. Don't ask me to do anything past 5 o'clock. I'm coming in at 9 o'clock. I'm doing my 8 hours and I'm out. Right? So I think organizations need to recognize when that is happening too. And that's up to leadership, to recognize and be tapped into their employees to ensure that they are being fulfilled and supported. And if it makes sense for them to work remote, then have them work remote. Like it was working before when it had to work. So why are people being forced to come back? Right? Like give people an option. Like I said, people first, and then professional. You're a human being. So having those open conversations, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Right? Yeah, we did this, but it would really be better or beneficial or conducive for your role or opportunities for you to come back in the office. It makes sense. But have that conversation. I think the quiet quitting happens a lot when people feel that they don't have a say. Like I'm being forced to do this, right? I have no say in whatever I'm doing in terms of my role and my job. And so the disengagement, I'm kind of tapped out. And then burnout is something that's can happen a lot, I think, with stress, anxiety, when you're doing well, when you're overworked. When I left my corporate role, it took 3 people to fill my position. I was burnt out.
Right.
Huge. But when you're in it and in the midst of it and you're doing all the things. I mean, I did ask for help a couple of times, but I think I received temporary help for maybe a month or 2 months. And then it was like just me. But being a woman, Black woman, wanting to, prove myself, you push through certain things. And that's what happens.
How do you push back in a scenario like that? Because a lot of times that's what it is, right? Like you start off, you're good. like you start off, you're like, I want to take on a lot to show that I can do the work and I want to prove myself. And then after it gets to a point where you're basically asked to do everything,
Yeah, it's
and
too
you're getting a
much.
lot piled on. And a lot of times you're not getting compensated or rewarded
Usually you're not,
for that.
especially when you're on salary. But it's really about assessing kind of how much time is it taking you to do this, and if things start kind of falling through the cracks, start building your case. Well, or asking which is the priority.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what would you like me to do? You've given me these 2 projects or
Right.
these 2 deliverables.
Yeah.
What's more important? And just basically putting it back on them to say, oh shoot, maybe you do have too much on your plate, right? So there's kind of like a subtle way of saying or showing that there's too much going on here right now. I'm only one person.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're here with the tech effects. So I want to talk a little bit about tech,
Tech.
right? And AI, which has obviously changed. I mean, remote work is one thing,
Yeah.
right? But AI just changing like the world, how people are getting recruited. And a lot of people, right, rightfully so, afraid about AI taking over their jobs.
Yeah.
So
Don't be.
did you encounter that in your?
I didn't. It wasn't
Okay.
as big.
Right.
But now with supporting people in the job market,
Right.
I am getting fear from them. But there are certain things that the human being, AI
Can't be
cannot.
replaced,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't replace that connection, right? So I feel that if you don't learn it though and use it to your benefit, then you are going to get lost.
Do you use AI in your business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Chatty's my best friend. I love Chatty. We have a good
therapist?
relationship.
Okay, so yeah, so what would you tell? Just kind of expand on what you were saying. So you know, AI is coming. People are in the career space. What is some of your suggestions and advice?
Play with it. Play with it. See how you can use it in your day-to-day business or role, because there's so many functions that you can use it for. And so I usually share my screen and I'm like, okay, so in your role, and you can talk to it now too, right? So in
Yeah,
your
like
role,
voice and
ask
stuff,
it
yeah.
questions. What would you do in this situation? Or help me. And it can save you a ton of time. Build me a deck, create just talk to it as if it's
Yeah.
one of your peers. And it's the fear of the unknown again, right? Because once I kind of share that side of it, they're like, oh, really? You can do all that? Yeah. Right? Then it's like opens them up to possibilities. And I think that's the thing too that coaches can do is they show you perspective and possibilities. So you're not, because sometimes we're so tunnel vision into things. But as a coach, I'm like, what if,
Right.
right? What if you could do this? What would you love to do? And that's what gets people thinking, curiosity. Oh, okay, I could actually maybe do that. That's possible for me. Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we're just in our own head, like just
Absolutely.
talking in circles, and having somebody to like bounce the ideas off and get that perspective is good. Okay, last topic.
Okay.
Okay, layoffs.
Yes.
Right. So I've been laid off before. I know what that's like. But let's talk about like what somebody that gets laid off. So emotionally and strategically, what should that person do? Okay, I've been working here for 5 years, 10 years. I've invested all this time into this company,
Yeah.
and now, I mean, I know there was some Zoom calls where people were getting laid off and stuff, but you know,
Which I can't
normally
believe.
that's
But
crazy,
yeah,
right? But it's always a shock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In terms
Yeah.
of this is the forced change that you weren't really expecting. So yeah, what kind of advice do you have?
People don't
in
like
those
my
moments.
advice usually,
Okay.
Kareem, when I say this. And honestly, I say accept it, the pause that you've been gifted with. Look at it as a gift, because now it's something that you can kind of reset and refigure out kind of what is my next move. So for myself, if it was recruitment and I'd been laid off from a recruitment position, maybe I don't want to go back into recruitment. Maybe I
Right,
do.
right.
But you now have this time. And I know fear sets in, finances, responsibilities, but think about if you can take that time and look at it as, what do I really want to do? And channel that energy into what you really want to do versus what you don't, or what you've always been doing. So I always say, look at it as a gift. And again, the reflection. What did you love about what you were doing? Was it the company? Was it the people? Was it the role itself, the responsibilities? And what did you not like? Like, what do you wish you could delegate or not have to do again in your life? Get
Right,
clear on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
What are your motivators, your demotivators, your non-negotiables? Because now you
key,
have an
yeah.
opportunity to get clear on what those are before stepping into something different or saying yes to something. Again, it goes back to the foundation of the values, right? What do you value? what's conducive to your lifestyle now may not have been conducive then. So now you have an opportunity. Unfortunately, things happen, you know, you weren't expecting it. But what can I do if I look at this as a gift to myself to kind of really figure out, where do I really want to be? What company, what organization, how big, how small? Do I even want to stay in this industry anymore? Right? So it's an opportunity to really kind of reflect and assess kind of where you are, where you were, and where do you want to go forward.
If people don't like that advice?
Not in the first, you know, kind of like consultation, because they're like, what? You're supposed to help me find a job. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to help you do that.
Right.
But is this what you truly want?
Yeah, it's almost like operating on just that subconscious level where you're just like, okay, I've been in a job, so let me jump to a next job.
To another job, and another job.
And you're just kind of like going through that motion.
And I don't like that word when people say too, I want to find a job. I'm like, well, you can find a job. Tim Hortons, not knocking Tim Hortons or Walmart, but there are jobs, there are opportunities out there. But what do you really want? Is that what you want? Do you want to go stock shelves? Do you want to say welcome to Walmart? Because you can, and there's nothing, like no judgment there. But is that what you really want? Because if that's what you really want, you probably don't need me to help you to get there. You just go and apply online and then make yourself presentable and go and talk to the store manager or whatever. But if you really want to tap into what you truly want, is your passion, your career, your desire, that's something that a coach or a mentor can help you with as well, because anybody can find a job.
Nice. A lot of people associate their self-worth with their job, right? And their value. So how do you coach people to detach themselves from, you know, your value and your self-worth doesn't depend on what you do?
On it. Again, powerful questions. Starting with the powerful questions is, what is it about the job that is so connected to you? And if that job were to be dismissed today, or you were to be dismissed from that job, what would your identity be?
Right. Yeah, identity is a big one.
What would your identity be? Are you still that administrator? Are you still that clerical assistant? Are you still that marketer? You're a human being first and foremost. This is just something that you do, right? It's just a part of you, but it's not all of you. So really about that embodiment of who are you really, and getting them to step into and embody that version of themselves, because that can kind of evolve in different ways and fit into different paths for you, right? But when you're so connected to, I'm only going to be a doctor or a lawyer, that's it for me. That's kind of boring. To be honest, it's kind of boring, you know, because we're so multifaceted,
right? Yeah,
you know,
so
and I mean, there are some people that I'm an accountant, that's all I'm going to do. Cool, if that's you, right? But then there are some of us that are like, I like accounting, I like numbers, I like marketing, I like sales. Amazing. Find something that allows you to explore all of those sides or different components of you, because then that lack of fulfillment comes in if you're not kind of serving certain parts of those desires, is what I've found with my clients and even for myself.
Cool. All right. Well, that's most of it in terms of the formal questions, I would say. But I got a couple hot takes questions I want to ask you just to get to know you a little bit better. So I know you say you're Jamaican.
Yes.
But let's talk about food, right?
Yes.
What's your favorite food?
It's not Jamaican food.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not saying it has to be. It doesn't have to
Jamaican.
be. Yeah.
No, it's like people automatically assume because you're Jamaican, but I love seafood.
Okay.
I love pasta. I love pizza.
What's your favorite seafood?
Lobster, shrimp. I love calamari.
Nice.
Yeah. So Jamaican's cool. I get it every day, all day at home.
To it,
you know, I can't eat it outside of my house. It just doesn't taste the same.
Oh, for real? Huh?
Oh,
You have no spots?
Do you know of any? I don't. The only thing that I could think I could eat outside of my home is like Trini food.
Okay.
Like some doubles, some roti.
Yeah.
That maybe.
Nice.
But Jamaican food, like oxtail, curry goat, rice and peas.
You got to make that yourself.
My mom, not me.
Okay.
Not me.
I'm half Trini too.
Are you really?
Half Trini, half Jamaican, yeah.
You got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I got that palate. Okay, favorite place to travel?
Oh my gosh. Anguilla and Turks and Caicos.
Nice.
Turks and Caicos was where I went for my honeymoon. Anguilla, I went just before the pandemic in 2019. That was my last vacation before the pandemic. Beautiful island.
Nice.
Beautiful, beautiful island. And I love to travel, so I'm still looking and exploring.
Yeah. What
where
other
my
what other
places.
spots are on on your list?
Curacao, Belize, Greece, Italy.
Nice.
Those are other places. Yeah, I've done a lot of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with the Caribbean.
Yeah. I haven't been to Turks. I've been to Cayman.
I haven't been
And
to Cayman.
last year I did a cruise and we stopped in Belize.
I've never done a cruise.
Cruises, okay. That's
what
an
I'm
experience.
hearing.
That's an
Cruises
experience.
are-
Yeah.
So maybe, because my goal or intention is to have here as my foundation. I mean, I'm Canadian born and raised, and I never thought I would feel this way. But the last, I would say 3-4 years, I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like the winters, I'm done.
Yeah. Winters are tough. Man.
And I just feel like this doesn't feel like home anymore, if that makes sense.
Would
Like
you consider moving?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's my
Like,
intention.
okay.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
foundation here, I'll always have somewhere here.
Right.
And I want to be close enough that I can always come back. But I never had that experience to live somewhere else. And I feel like there's that longing for me now. And I think because I'm in this space where I have that flexibility,
Yeah.
it feels easier to make it happen and make it a reality for myself. So I'm thinking like 4 years when my little man is 18 and I can sideline parent a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
I'm out.
That's dope. Yeah. Like, have you been to Europe, Spain?
Not Spain, Portugal,
Okay. Pretty similar.
Paris, yeah, but not
Yeah.
Spain.
When I first started the Tech Effect and started getting more into the entrepreneurship space, I spent some time in Spain, and it was
Really?
good because I would go to meetups there, and I met like different marketers and business professionals there.
See?
So it was so cool as an entrepreneur to just
And that's the beauty
be
of
able to
being
do
an
that,
entrepreneur.
you
Like
know?
the people that you meet, like the people that I've met in the last like 5 years, I would never have had the opportunity to meet them
Mm-hmm.
if I had just stayed in my corporate role. And I'm not knocking corporate because I
Right,
never
right.
say never.
Yeah.
If the right opportunity was presented to me, I might go back.
yeah,
Maybe.
for sure.
But the freedom and flexibility that I have right now, that would be a lot to give up. But no, I've met so many amazing human beings on this journey that I'm just loving it. And I just want to continue on this path.
Nice. Favorite app?
ChatGPT. Right now, ChatGPT.
Okay,
WhatsApp, because it's, the connection to people that are all over the world. But yeah, Chatty, I would say that's my app
Do
right
you
now.
have the pro version?
Of course.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna lie, I just got the pro version.
Okay,
I
that's
was
all
being
good.
that
That's all
diva on
good.
the
You still have
dime, and I
it.
was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
just
you
playing
have
with it
it.
a little bit and seeing if that was my app. But I met a guru in AI, and she was like, "You need this. You need like to run my business. She's like, you
Right,
need this
right,
to automate.
yeah.
You need that." And I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "You can invest in that now," because I've made investments in other platforms, and I'm like, "Not for me. Didn't do what I wanted it to do." Oops. So
Other
now I'm
AI
like,
platforms? Okay, all right.
yeah. So now I think I've found a handful of them that I'm like, okay, this can support me in my business. So
Cool. Recommended book or podcast?
I'm a Mel Robbins fan.
Okay, yeah, me
I'm a
too.
Mel Robbins.
Yeah, she's dope.
So definitely Mel
Dope.
Robbins book. One that comes to mind is one that I was reading during my transition, and it was Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Okay.
And it was really about breaking barriers and her kind of coming out of the norm of society and what they viewed her as to be as a woman. And it really kind of just gave me a lot of aha moments. And also The Mountain Is You by Brianna Waste. That's another really good one because we can block ourselves from stepping into
Okay.
certain positions.
dope.
And so The Mountain Is You is another good book.
Nice. I haven't heard of those two, so I have to check them out for sure. But Mel Robbins is cool too. I like her books. Yeah, 5 Second Rule is a big
5
one for
Second
me.
Rules,
Yeah.
Let Them
yeah,
theory.
yeah. Okay, last one. Word of advice.
Word of advice, I would say, follow your dreams and your heart's desires. Don't let other people project too much on you. Really sit with yourself and identify, what is it that you truly want? What would light you up? If money and time wasn't an object, what would you do? Where would you go? And then lean into it. Figure out how can I make that happen? Because it's possible. The fact that you even have that desire inside of you is sometimes enough or should be enough to kind of fuel you forward. And I'm not saying you're not going to have those ebbs and flows and those moments, and it's not going to be an easy, straight arrow to that. But just figuring out ways of how can you, I think is key for anyone. So I would say definitely, sit with self, meditate, reflect, and figure out what truly lights you up. Because life is short.
Yeah.
Life is short, and we don't have time to waste figuring out going 10 years, 15 years, and then all of a sudden identifying, well, shoot, I could have started this. Like what I'm doing right now, I met a young lady and she's like 61. And she's like, I wish I had done what you had done like 10 years ago. She's like, now I'm so far gone into, I've got my pension. Like she goes, I wish I had. And I'm like, I don't want to have to wish I had, you know, that's why I said, I'm never saying never to corporate,
Right.
but I'm glad that I took this chance on myself to explore what this is like and to learn what is possible for myself. So I would say explore, be open, have conversations with people, travel, and just open yourself up to the world and what is available to you.
Amazing. All right. There you have it. Kadine Cooper, Coach K. She came through the Career Currency podcast. She dropped a lot of keys about navigating the corporate space, diversity, empowering women, and a lot of coaching tips. What was the 5 F's? I wanted to stop on that, but I need that again.
No problem. Faith, family, fun, freedom, and flexibility.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kadine, for coming through.
My
I
pleasure.
really, really appreciate you having you. Amazing conversation. I hope you'll come back again.
Absolutely.
Soon. But yeah, best of luck. And I know you have an event coming up.
I do.
So can you please plug your event before we
Yes.
wrap up?
So next
And
10.
where can people find you as well?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
Next 10 is having their 2nd-year anniversary, and it's like a networking event like you've never experienced before. I experienced it last November, I think it was, and I was like, I want to be a part of it. So I'm not going to say too much about what it is because I want people to come and experience it. But basically, you come in and there's different facilitators that you'll meet with or you have an opportunity to meet with, but we all give you different experiences that help you to unlock whatever that potential is that you have for yourself. And it's just a vibe. So it's happening on June 7th from 11 to 3. I will send you, because I have a discount code, it's Limitless Kadine. You can find me on Instagram as careercoach_K, and you can also find me on LinkedIn, which is kind of where I play most of the time, as Kadine Cooper.
Cool. All right, Coach K, thank you for coming through. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you take all of that advice, that self-reflection, explore new things. Don't get too comfortable. Look for new opportunities. Find a mentor. Find people who can help you unlock the next level of your career. This is the Career Currency Podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Perez from The Tech Effect, signing off. Another amazing episode. More knowledge and information for you to take your next step in your career. Thank you so much again for coming through.
My pleasure.
Peace, y'all. Talk to you soon.
You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.